the importance of being authentic. So I'm gonna break up this video like two sections, like in terms of YouTube and then in terms of life. Now with YouTube, when you're first starting out, actually when you first are on the platform, you're going to have to make a decision of what niche you're in. Now, the best niche that you can choose is actually just being yourself. Now, particularly when curating your content, you can actually create content that revolves around your own interests. Like, you don't have to stick in one lane. Like, you're probably on self-improvement if you're watching this video. You don't have to make videos all the time about self-improvement. Like, just make videos that you enjoy making. Sort of enjoying the process. The views and the likes and the comments, they'll come later. Like, there'll be a natural response to your input. But the best niche is just being you. Because how you're on camera, what you talk about, what you discuss about, what tips you give, these are all reflections of you. And more so, to also alleviate more pressure from you, just document yourself and just be yourself. Which leads to, how can we be ourselves? Sort of like a deeper question. Like, you have to work out who you really are. Sort of, you don't want to put on a mask when you're on camera. You want to act like you're talking to your best friend or one of your friends. Sort of, you want to create a connection with your viewer. Like, there's nothing held back. Like, you aren't putting on a facade. I think that was the lights turning off. Putting on a facade. However, because the audience will feel if you're holding back, if you aren't being real, if you aren't being your authentic self. Because in this day and age with social media, more people want to feel an emotional connection. Even though social media has connected us so much, like globalized social connections, we feel so isolated. So, in your niche of being you, create that social connection just by simply being unfiltered. Not being so unfiltered that you get cancelled. That's whole nother video to talk about. But act in a way that you're talking to someone. Like, you're talking to someone in real life. And that authenticity. Then also working out who you are, because once you work out who you are, you know what benchmark you can compare it to. You know when you're acting like yourself. You know when you're acting not like yourself. And the importance of authenticity is no one can beat you. Your competition, they cannot beat being you. We are so unique as humans, as individuals. We are not alike. So, in the YouTube game, you almost want to just be yourself, because no one can outcompete being you. And then how can we create this niche? So think about what you're interested in. Like, take for me, for example. I'm interested in self-improvement, but not only self-improvement. I like playing piano. I should probably do more videos playing piano. Also teaching like how I sort of learnt piano. And also learning Japanese. Like learning Japanese, reading, consuming content, educational content. Like, those are probably my three big pointers for me. Also sales. Also, I'm looking into this textile stuff. Like, I'm multifaceted. Like, I'm not just like one-dimensional. Like, I'm purely self-improvement. No, like, I discuss my ideas. I discuss multiple ideas. Like, it's to a point where I couldn't be replaced. Like, that's sort of the point of authenticity. You cannot be replaced. So it's better to be yourself than trying to be like someone else. Because if you try to be like someone else, you will be beaten by that other person. Because they're being their most authentic self. So when you're on camera, just be yourself. Like, literally, just be yourself. If you don't know who you are, journal about it. Like, that's the best way I can explain it. Like, journal about it. Think of the events in your life that maybe reflect or affected you, how your personality, your genetics, your cultural upbringing, like these kind of things. Like I know for myself, my Asian upbringing and my Australian upbringing, how there's sort of like a cultural rejection of like the Western, like the bad Western, like Western culture as a whole. Like there's some good, like particularly like Stoicism, the Greeks, like the ancient Western civil like culture, but not like the modern Western culture. So I take, again, you want to take the meat and spit out the bones, essentially. Now, in terms of life, again, how I act on camera is how I try. Well, you can't try to be yourself. You just are. So when you're with your friends, the point of authenticity is to actually polarize them, because you don't want to end up in like these fake friendships that tend to happen a lot in high school, where you're just there by coincidence, or you're forced there due to the social environment. Because the point is, you don't want to be liked by everyone. You don't want to be liked by everyone. Because in order to be your most authentic self, you have to polarize. So people will like you. But naturally, if people like you, there will be those who don't like you. And that's not the point. You don't want to be liked by everyone. Because if you try to be liked by everyone, you are liked by no one. Sort of, rather than taking a side or sitting on the fence all the time. You just become forgettable. Like, you become forgettable, you sort of seep into the background. Like, I know some people don't mind that, but if you try and be a people pleaser, people can feel that. And the reason why it's so grotesque, or so, how's the word? Not grotesque, like the way it's like, the best example I can think of is like, I went to this tech shop and there was this lady, like she was just overly joyous and it felt fake. And then for some reason as a human, you can feel that fakeness and it just repulses you. That's the word, repulses you. Because if you're trying to please everyone by putting on this facade, this mask, not being your authentic self, you're trying to get value out of them in some way. Whether it be socially, something actually tangible, opportunity, like you can feel it. So why not just be yourself? Because it's so time consuming, so energy consuming trying to put up a mask, a facade that isn't truly you. Like, don't get me wrong, I truly believe you have to aim to be your best version of yourself. Like, it's like sort of like, I think of like the fat pride, the fat acceptance movement. Like, oh, accept me for who I am. I can accept you for who you are, but what matters is your intention to improve yourself. Because stagnation is just unacceptable. Like, I believe stagnation is unacceptable in the sense that if you're not actively trying to improve yourself, you're sort of sabotaging yourself. There's people that don't like you. Why have the most important person in your life, being yourself, dislike you or hinder you from your progress? So it's sort of like ego in a way, that you want to be liked by everyone. That's just not possible. And also, if you're your most authentic self, naturally people will be attracted to that. Like, will be attracted to you. It's probably the same with like dating, like being truthful and not putting on a play or a facade with the people you date, because you'd rather have them date you for being you rather than the character that you project. So just then again, back to the idea of how to be authentic. You don't really have to think about it. You just are. Strive to be the best version of yourself, but continually be yourself, which is so simple to say, but sort of trying to articulate how. I know the what, be yourself, but how? Just realize life's too short to not be yourself, to play a character, to put on an act. Maybe if you have that realization, you then realize the things that I want to do, the things that I want to say, the passions, the hobbies that I have, I should be passionate about them. I shouldn't be apologetic to the others around me for having these passions, these things that make joy in my life. I shouldn't be apologetic about it. And if they don't like me, they don't like me. If they like me, they like me. It's like, what's the word? Not apathetic. It's like, it is what it is. Just be authentic. Because I'd rather have you be surrounded by people that like you for you. And if it turns out that who you are, nearly everyone is repulsed by that, then it's sort of how do I put that? You don't know how to interact with people. I'm not saying that in a mocking way, because I know my brother, like for example, he has not this mate, like this person in his cohort that everyone seems to dislike. I told him, why don't you give him How to Win Friends and Influence People? Because if you're disliked by everyone, like, sure, like, don't be liked by everyone, but don't be hated by everyone, because that just shows you're sort of anti-everything. Like, if you stand for something, people will like you. But if you just are just dislikable, that's just a matter of you don't know how to interact, you don't know the rules of how to socially interact. I can think of like another person in my cohort in actually throughout high school that was like that. So if everyone actually dislikes you for being you, you actually have to improve you. Like, I know most of the self-improvement gurus like don't have other people's self-validation, but if your family members or your friends, like the most important people that you consider in your life, don't like you, then who has the problem in a way? Or you just haven't surrounded yourself with people that align with your values. Again, it also goes with values, like with exercising your authenticity through your values. But how do I put this? If no one likes you, best simple steps of going about it is just learning how to talk, learning how to have a conversation, learning how to take turns, learning how to uplift people, learning how to be positive. Like these things, these micro skills on the big umbrella that is being likable while still being aligned with being authentic. You have to, how do I put it? Put in the work, because it's not going to become easy. You just have to do it. So be your authentic self. But if your authentic self is dislikable to everyone, again, this is the nuance. Continually strive for betterment, because that should be your authentic self. But if your authentic self is being an asshole or a dickhead all the time, I can't help you. I can't help you in that fact. But there's a tendency, if you exercise truth, because authenticity is the truth, you tend to have a better life, because you don't have to put a mask or a veil all the time, and that gets tiring. So this is why it's important to be authentic on YouTube, because people want to connect with you, and in real life, because people want to connect with you. So I hope this video helps.